Whenever I see a show that's considered to have psychological elements, I find myself expecting something with some surreal, fucked up moments, and as a result I was surprised when watching Infinite Ryvius to find a show that's quite restrained in its narrative. Ryvius follows a bunch of children, over 400, that find themselves stranded in a spaceship after it's sabotaged and the adults die in an attempt to minimise damage. Finding themselves embroiled in a government conspiracy, they have nowhere to go and spend many months floating through space trying to find a way to get home. There's a fair bit of space combat in this show, but it isn't really the centre focus, being only one of the factors leading to the internal conflict the cast have. Expecting a gradual decline in psyche from the members aboard the Ryvius, the eventual plummet into depravity takes a long while to hit. Following the top members operating the ship, known as Zwei, everything goes incredibly well honestly, but while the kids seem to be on top of things, there's always a sense of unease as all the signs of unrest are there. Small pockets of people revel in this moment of confusion as the Ryvius drifts through space, shots of some crew members make it seem like they're waiting to do something regrettable. The majority of the show has Zwei constantly changing approach to management, and as the story unfolds we find that everything's gradually getting stricter. Something the viewer will eventually realise is that the initial idea of some sort of mass revolt isn't going to happen, and despite initial expectations, it's the main crew, the ones initially portrayed as above the laziness and brashness of the majority, that struggle the most. A great example of the show subverting expectations is with Jonathan Cole, who seems like a stalker at the beginning before being quite a noble character at the end, not any worse than his Vi members idolised at the beginning. Dealing with a near impossible situation of keeping order as enemy attacks become more frequent and the eventual rescue everyone craves seems further and further away, everyone becomes acutely aware of their shortcomings. This becomes a harrowing journey as these people that amazed me initially become some of the most damaged in the show as they seem to regress in character, some flat out denying their situation. Nothing hit home the horrors of the Ryvius more than scenes like this. This became hard to watch at times when seeing the stress the main characters were under, and the moments where they let their emotions out resulted in some of the rawest VA work I've ever heard. All the cast absolutely nail their roles in this show, creating some uncomfortable moments when the facade of normality breaks. Izumi Oze, one of the main characters, finds himself being extremely protective over his would-be girlfriend who was previously attacked. Being reminded of a situation in his past where he couldn't save who he loved, he rules the Ryvius with an iron fist. Everyone's insecurities play perfectly into their character arc, which gives some really genuine personalities, and Izumi's cold-heartedness at the end makes him do unspeakable things, even turning on his best friend as he does whatever he can to save his lover. The cast are good people, and I found myself being incredibly sympathetic towards everyone who, while being flawed characters as expected of children, were thrust into an unreasonable situation and tried to make the best of it. Izumi himself isn't happy with what he's doing, but he's such a conflicted person, being trapped in his past, that he can't think of a better idea. The eventual rescue of his crew does happen, and just in time before things got a lot worse, and I couldn't help but think to myself if the Ryvius was left alone just 10 minutes longer, what regrettable actions would be taken by the crew members that were reaching breaking point. Increasing tensions result in everyone's feelings being laid bare, and the amount of insight into each crew member's lives resulted in some of the best development I've seen in a show. It rarely went overboard and didn't rely on shock value to have an impact on the viewer, and simply through its dialogue managed to leave a lasting impression on me.